Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to another little rifle test here. And I've got a pretty interesting one today that I want to put down on film because I'm expecting to see some pretty decent looking results here from what I've seen previously anyway. Over the past couple years, this setup has taken multiple deer, so I definitely know that it's capable. So the ammo that we're going to be running today are some of these. These are the Sierra GameChanger rounds. They are a 90 grain tipped GameKing in 243. And like I said earlier, I have taken several deer with these rounds over the past few years. And I can tell you they are absolutely lightning bolts on a deer. And as for the rifle we're going to use, I've got out my Winchester Model 70 short action carbine, again in 243. This has the much shorter, I believe it's a 20-inch barrel on it, and it's a very, very handy little woods rifle. And up on top here, I have a Vortex Diamondback 4-12 by 40 with the BDC reticle in it. So a really pretty decent little scope for a little deer gun like this. Now with that rifle being such a shorter barrel than what a lot of these ammo companies test, those Sierras say they want to go 3,200 feet per second on the box, but I know from testing it previously, plus just the fact of we have a much shorter barrel than normal, that we will not see anywhere close to that 3,200 feet per second. If I'm remembering correctly, it's very close to in and around 2,800, but I do have the chronograph, so we will actually see what our average velocities are, and we can of course calculate our energy and stuff like that from that. So as per usual, I do have a rifle target set up over there at 100 yards. I do also have the chronograph, so we can get all of our numbers there. So let's head over here, get you guys set up at 100 yards. We'll shoot 3 groups, 3 shots each. Then we'll take a look at our chronograph numbers, and then we'll measure our groups with my digital calipers and see how these rounds perform. From what I've tested before, this rifle seems to do pretty well with these, so I have high hopes that they'll do well again today. So let's go over here and get set up and shoot them and see what they can do. Alright, so let's look at our chronograph numbers real quick here. And this is the first of 2 kind of surprises for me, because I know that the last time I tested it, they were right at very high 2700s-ish range. I want to say it was 2790 or something like that was the average I got. And clearly we're faster than that today for whatever reason. So as for our results here, we had a high of 2949. We had a low of 2830. And we had an average of 2880. So we're like 90 feet per second-ish above what I had gotten before. And I had tested them in the middle of the summer like this. It's about 80 to 85, somewhere in that range right now. And it was about the same when I tested it before. So I don't necessarily know what changed, but we're definitely moving faster today for one reason or another. So let's look at our target and see kind of our second surprise as to how they did. Okay, so now we're looking at our targets here, and right off the bat, it is not looking impressive. And like I said earlier, I know this setup has performed well for me a couple years ago, so I don't really know what has changed a whole lot. It's the exact same gun, exact same scope, everything, but for whatever reason, today, these are the results that we got. So let's measure our first group up there at the top and see what that group gave us. Okay, so that first group up there at the top gave us a 1.13 inch group here. Definitely not anything amazing, but for a deer rifle, it's good enough, although I would still like to see at least them very close to touching, if not in the same hole preferably. But either way, we still had this one kind of flyer right over here. If that one would have been somewhere over here, we would have seen much better results. But I really think it's interesting to see how these groups have opened up today specifically for whatever reason, even though I felt good about all the shots. So let's measure our second group in the bottom left and see what that one gave us. Okay, so that one gave us a 1.75 inch group here. So it definitely opened up a little bit more on this second group here. But if we look, we can still see it looks remarkably the same as our first group, where these two are pretty much the exact same as up here, with the one off to the right a little bit farther. Now, I felt comfortable, like I said earlier, with all of these trigger squeezes. So I don't think that was me pulling one of those rounds off to the right like that. But either way, let's measure this third group over here in the bottom right and see what we got out of that one. Alright, that one was slightly better at a 1.66 inch group, but once again, for whatever reason, we moved off to the right. And for those already asking the question, I did let the barrel cool down for several minutes between these groups here. So I don't think it really should have a whole lot to do with barrel heat. But either way, that's pretty surprising results, because I know that setup is capable of much better than that, because I've shot it much better than that before, where I've had groups of them pretty much touching at 100 yards. So for whatever reason, today it's just not doing all that amazing. I mean, for a deer rifle, that will still do the job out to 100 yards just fine, but that's definitely pretty interesting to see that we got some much different results today than we did a couple years ago in the same conditions, with the same rifle and scope and ammo combination off the same bench even. Alright, well, what did you guys think about it? I mean, I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed all in all here. I know that rifle and ammo combination is capable of much better than what we saw today, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was just me, even though I felt good about all the shots, or the weather conditions, or something different in maybe the ammunition, because this box versus the other boxes that I've tried before might be in a different batch or different run, which might explain why we saw a little bit higher velocity. I don't know. What do you guys think could have changed from then until now? And for those of you who have used this Sierra GameChanger ammunition, what has been your experience with it? Because I've gotten some good results out of it, until today anyway. But I will say, this is a lightning bolt of a round on a deer. But either way, what do you guys think about it? Are you a little bit disappointed or a little bit surprised that we didn't see better results out of it? But on that note, I've got a bunch more testing to get done out here today for you guys, so stay tuned, because we got plenty more rifle and shotgun tests coming. And with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.